Hello and welcome, guys, to Cyber Diaries episode number 32. We have Drew Perry with us from Ontinue. So, first of all, welcome, Drew.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I always obviously wanted to start the conversation with, first of all, if you could highlight a bit to our listeners who haven't heard about, Ontinue, what is Ontinue, what you guys do, just showcase a bit about, the services that you provide and what kind of cybersecurity problems are you trying to solve?
Absolutely. So Ontinue, we are a 24/7 MXDR service provider. So we're built on top of the Microsoft security product portfolio. So leveraging very much our customers' investments in Sentinel and Defender. And we stand apart from others in a few unique ways. So there's a lot of providers out there providing this sort of SOC type services, but we lean very much into AI automation, preventing cyber incidents, and then collaborating in real time with our customers through Microsoft Teams. So that's pretty much Ontinue in a nutshell.
Brilliant. Sounds good. Obviously, Drew, you have an interesting title, Chief Innovation Officer. I just wanted to kind of pick up a few things from here. Cybersecurity, obviously, world and whole technology world is, moving rapidly. How do you define, kind of innovation in the context of cybersecurity and security operations in itself?
Yeah, so it's a very rapidly evolving space, especially in this post-AI world that we live in. And it's finding that balance between staying on top of new innovations, new features coming out from Microsoft, and then rolling that into a more mature, structured engineering mindset. So assessing all of this, looking to our roadmap, looking at what our customers are asking for, and then really prioritizing that of getting the biggest bang for buck. So to balance that out, it just comes with maturity, because obviously you can't do everything. You can't implement every new shiny feature that comes along, but really thinking about this and looking at it to say, where does it really move the needle for value? Will this implementing this feature or this feature mean our customers are in a better, more secure position? Can it increase our scalability, our speed and accuracy to deliver our service properly? And it's measuring all that together and making sure we're moving in the right direction. We're lucky, actually, because we have a very, very skilled and mature engineering team who've been rolling out new and exciting things recently. And I'm lucky enough to show that off in sales and marketing day in, day out, and help push that innovation forward.
Yeah, sounds good. I just wanted to pick up on a couple of things. I think sometimes, cybersecurity world, we're kind of guilty ourselves of, playing a bit of word spaghetti, or I guess acronym spaghetti. We went from, you mix things like EDR, XDR, MXDR, you got MSSP, you got SOC-as-a-Service. Now, if you can just maybe someone who's not very well versed from our listeners, what is MXDR? How is that world changing, in terms of, 24/7 kind of SOC world?
Yeah, so MXDR, Managed Extended Detection and Response. It's basically the nerve center of all security information across your environment. So providing that visibility, applying AI and automation to deal with alerts that come out of tools like this, from that volume of logs, volume of activities, filtering that right down, and then only providing actionable, useful alerts to our customers. And really, that's it in a nutshell from all the acronyms out there. It's that funnel down and then providing the right things at the right time to our customers to either prevent an issue from happening or being there in their time of need when an incident has occurred. Simple as that, really.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think, been kind of talked about as a sort of the heart of your cyber defense, where you want to have a pulse on it to see what's kind of happening. Just based on that, I just wanted to kind of also segue into kind of a question. Why do you kind of, what's the trend that you see kind of customers turning to that sort of managed service? Where do you see kind of their problems that customers face with, and they obviously come to you guys to help them solve these kind of problems?
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 key areas there. One being in-house capability and skills that are quite hard to come by. So they may have a large set of infrastructure, maybe they've just migrated to a cloud environment, and they want that visibility, they want that assurance that things are being investigated thoroughly. So they go out to market, they might try and hire a team. These are very rare skills out there, in demand skills. So they would outsource to us to fill that gap, and then really leverage that existing investment. So say they've invested in a Microsoft E5 license or something similar. They want to make sure they're getting the most from that. And again, instead of hiring, they're leaning on us as the experts in that space. And then the third and final piece is just the ever-evolving threat landscape. It's staying on top and providing that 24/7 coverage. And that 24/7 coverage to build in-house, it's not cheap, it's challenging. And it comes with things like you need lessons learned, you need to have experience in that space. And that's, our specialist areas. So they're coming to us for those reasons.
Yeah, sounds great. It sounds like, it's sort of trying to extend the internal team and actually be a partner instead of, just kind of trying to take over the services. The one thing which I wanted to cover, I think we kind of mentioned that, SOC is sort of, heart of your cyber defense, and we're talking about cybersecurity is evolving rapidly. Now, we're trying to innovate and improve and add new, whether it's features, new kind of solutions within our stack. How do you think, you as overlooking sort of part of an innovation, how do you balance operational reliability with actually, operating that 24/7 SecOps environment?
Yeah, so again, it's our structure and engineering process there around our PIs and our sprints, and again, making sure that what is being implemented moves that needle for our customers. So the reliability side, we just need to make sure we've got the right skilled teams looking at these features and capabilities and taking it from there, really.
Sounds good. You guys talking about, positioning sort of your product as being sort of always on managed SecOps. How do you think you kind of approach that differently from many other providers that do MDR or MSSP kind of services within security?
Yeah, so that 24/7 non-stop SecOps, always there, always available. But the way we take that further than others is really leaning into that prevention side. It's that continuous improvement piece. It's not just waiting for an alert to happen. It's not just waiting for our advanced threat operation team to do a threat hunt and find something proactively, but it's leaning in to implementing the right controls, continuously improving that cyber maturity, and as you've already said there, being that extension of our customers' security team. So really that's the difference. It's continuously moving forward to improve cyber maturity.
One thing I really liked as well as part of your guys' services, sometimes which I think is in a way lacking with other providers, that, SOC is part of the work, and obviously rule sets are there to detect things. But it's always hard to pinpoint the unknown unknowns or threats that are continuously evolving or just appearing. And you not always are able maybe to build detection rules within a seconds. So you guys run things like proactive threat hunting and contextual understanding. So how does that, how does that arose as a need, and how do you guys play that in your managed SecOps services?
Yeah, so sorry, can you repeat the last bit of that question again?
Well, how does that, where does the need arose to actually create those services, and how does that work in terms of your managed SecOps? What role does that play in your managed SecOps sort of environment?
Yeah, so again, it's back to that speed and accuracy, because Microsoft are rolling out new detections. We've got a detection engineering team who are constantly adding to that. But the problem is if you just start turning on more and more detections, your volume of alerts is going to increase, the benign positives is going to increase, and even false positives are going to increase. So you need to then also lean into the automation side of that to always, or not necessarily rely on the humans to do that investigation step for every single alert that's there. And then when there is an investigation to be done, how do you react and respond on the other side to that? So how do you isolate a machine quickly? How do you block a user? How do you tag them as risky to enforce more conditional access policies? And those are the sort of two core areas we lean into. So leaning into that automation piece to investigate and triage, and then react and respond in a timely manner and a more mature manner. So looking at our rules of engagement around what we can and can't do for certain customers' environments, and that's where we're tackling that really.
Yeah, great stuff. One thing as well, I was really impressed. I think some of the sort of MXDR providers I struggle with is the speed of communication.
Yeah.
How did you guys arrive with the idea to do the Teams integration and that rapid, comms going both ways also, but also being able to instantiate rapid response and get actually, incident responders on a call within, a timely manner?
Yeah, so that idea was born out of, it was originally because I came out of the consulting world. So I'd worked with many MSSPs, MSPs, and I saw, the pain points there of something's detected, you need to get in touch with a customer, you would pick up the phone, you would send an email, you would expect them to go off to a portal somewhere, and that time and speed of response is just simply not fast enough. So we saw that, and I recognized that with the advent of Microsoft Teams and Teams Connect in the very, very early days, we were one of the first providers to actually adopt this as the main collaboration tool to work with our customers. Back then, we were also heavily building with native capability in Teams with the likes of Power Apps and other Power Platform type capabilities. We've since moved on from that to a more robust and scalable solution. But really, the idea was just born out of being there for our customers immediately, not pushing them down the path of having to pick up the phone, just already being there. And we found that this builds rapport, it builds that relationship, and day in, day out, working with our customers to actually do this, it just makes the difference. And then the final piece is just giving them the ability to react and respond and click that button if need be to authorize some form of automated response. And really, that's what's been the game changer over the years from that original idea, which we worked with one of our large law firm customers to develop it. It worked really well, and then we just scaled it out and built a service around it for the rest. But the rest is history, really.
yeah, it's really impressive. I just want to pick on another kind of part of the solution. You also are highly developing the portal, and obviously, how did that need, I guess, arise? Do you guys saw, because one of the things I think sometimes is hard to define is sort of, KPIs or ROI of your, SOC provider. So was that part of the decision to go there, or what was behind, to build a platform and actually provide, some really good KPIs to see how the service operates?
Yeah, I mean, the need for building, the Teams app, the portal, all these collaborative interaction points was really to achieve scalability. It was to ensure that we're providing that consistent quality to our customers, as I say, being there in their time of need. And it just, came out of scale at the end of the day. So the KPIs that we track, mean time to respond, mean time to detect, all the things you would want. We listen to our customers, track those widgets and metrics, put that into our dashboards, put that into our sort of like AI bot as well, which you can interact with Ion IQ, and really just, listen to the needs of our customers to push that forward at the end of the day.
Brilliant. Well, I guess we kind of spoke, I guess, enough without using the swear word that is AI. So let's jump right in. So I guess first of all, how is Ontinue leveraging AI and machine learning to kind of transform their SecOps operations? First of all.
Yeah, so in a number of ways. So traditionally, we've worked with very much sort of deterministic automation. So taking logic and defining and having queries run on the back of that logic to speed up triage, speed up investigation, and really solve that scale problem that a lot of managed service providers face. A lot of them just throw more analysts at the problem. So they start winning more customers, they start hiring more analysts, then quality starts getting a bit lumpy across the board. And in the early days, we threw logic-based ways of dealing with that. Mm-hmm. Then we found that that would deal with the bulk of the noise, but with that long tail security problem, it turns out that a lot of the alerts that are coming through are much more complex. They require much deeper investigation. And that's on that side where we're applying an agentic solution and AI to that. So using that reasoning capability and giving our agent agency, just like a human, to investigate something to a deeper level. So really we're using it to assist with investigation, speed up that response time, and pulling all those pieces to maintain that speed, accuracy, and service quality. So at the end of the day, it's we call it our autonomous investigator. So it's acting as that tier 1 and tier 2 analyst to take that effort away from our human cyber defenders.
Brilliant stuff. And so when you talk about obviously AI and obviously now we're moving in towards agentic and actually autonomous agents, how do you guys find the balance between AI-driven automation and human expertise? Because obviously, I'm sure you still, you're not going to move away from people completely. So where's the balance plays in that?
No, so we're actually seeing the rise of a couple of companies come up these days, like the fully autonomous SOC providers. And, they're treating this like a product solution, like a click button, bang, done. But we're finding the real world of that is not that at all. You've got to have the humans there. You've got to have their knowledge and their expertise of a customer's environment. So we're leveraging it to really empower them, to speed up decision making, to get to that point, to ensure that we're not missing SLAs, that we're doing deep, thorough investigations for all of our customers, and making sure that the humans we do and the cyber defenders that we do hire are coming in at the right level with the right expertise behind them. And that's what makes the difference. Having people that have that practical hands-on experience and then applying that to what the AI is telling them to come to a conclusion around an investigation. But yeah, we're nowhere near the fully autonomous SOC. It's like Moore's law, and a model is going to get orders of magnitude better and better and better. So yes, agentic solutions and all that will eventually get to that point. But today, to move the needle and have to keep our customers happy, we've got to have that human interaction there to do those more advanced things that the agent's just not quite ready for yet.
Yeah. Talking about AI, I think it seems like everyone's obviously running towards kind of sort of AI arms race, and everyone's quick to deploy it. But in a way, AI sometimes is being still thought as sort of black opaque box. How do you guys looking at, or have you solved, for example, or do you have a problem with some customers trusting AI because of transparency in AI-driven decisions? Is that a problem that comes up?
I think decisions are being taken with our AI during the investigation point. So the steps and what queries to run next, where to go to investigate things, but we're not giving it that level of agency yet to take full actions. So our customers trust it in the way we're leveraging it and using it. We're not using it for detection at this point. And I think a couple of there's interesting discussions online around you can't just throw an LLM at everything. It's not quite there yet as a detection engine, because it's going to find the most positive outcomes most of the time and not stop and go, hang on a minute, and we're going down the wrong path here. So our customers trust us in this because we've been doing it from the very early days, and we're doing it in a sensible way to empower our analysts and not just flip the switch and say, AI, you're doing everything now. It's keeping that fine balance there.
Yeah, sounds good. Now, we kind of touched a bit about AI. I just want to segue into one thing, which in a way also is, I guess, worrying for people out there who trying to get into cybersecurity career. Do we think that AI replacing many of the sort of repetitive, tier one SOC analyst tasks, what does the future look like for junior cybersecurity professionals? Are we eliminating sort of lower level roles coming into the SOC, or do they need to think about different ways how to develop their careers?
I think there is a shift, and yes, there is a different way to get into their career these days. So traditionally, you get a job as a tier one analyst, you probably get burnt out because you're dealing with false positives, you're doing the grunt work, you're running the same queries over and over again, and it's not motivational in that sense. Your motivation is often to close a ticket, to close an alert, to hit SLAs. And these days, luckily, we're shifting away from that using, Copilot-like solutions, agents. You've got ChatGPT at your disposal. So I think the difference now is the way to get into the SOC world is, I reckon, come at it from an experienced background of hands-on skills. So more lab learning, more building, more knowing the intricacies of why and how something works, and then using ChatGPT or your favorite, or Claude, or your favorite provider to ask questions. It can run labs for you. It can help build out those skills. So I think leaning more into the hands-on element and then applying that with security knowledge is the path going forward, amplified with the AI tools there. So I think maybe those coming into our space are a little bit lucky in that they're not hopefully going to have to experience that traditional tiered SOC experience, which is not great, having come from that myself. In the early 2000s with a pager, getting paged every 4 hours because we couldn't tune out a noisy SIEM solution, and investigating it every time because the playbook said I had to investigate it every time. Now we're moving away from that structured playbook-driven repetitive thing, and we can apply that skill and knowledge to investigate something and be amplified with our AI models who are getting better and better at this every day. So I think it's a different approach. It's a lean into the knowledge, lean into the real world experience, not necessarily get that sort of tier one SOC job where you're having to burn and grind to get there.
Yeah, I think probably where I'm leaning to in my head as well, thinking out loud, is that you probably need to maybe spend a little more time preparing yourself for that entry level role. But the new level entry level role is not going to be the ones where you just get bombarded with tier one level sort of tickets, but actually where you get to use your brain and actually solve intricate, interesting problems that simple AI solution can't, and you need human expertise. And probably that might be even better because, as you say, we're not leaning in towards the space where people are being burnt out, pushed into KPIs where they need to maybe solve an incident every X amount of minutes. And it's probably a new and more interesting career potentially on the cards.
Yeah, and I think the other good thing is, there's excellent docs, say Microsoft Docs these days, like excellent resource for learning. You've got Microsoft Learn for all of that, and that reinforces your knowledge. Everyone learns in a different way. I personally learned with labs, with hands-on, with doing. So then combining those things, getting that experience through labs, reading the the docs and documentation on the intricacies of how things work, and then applying that in a setting where you can investigate an alert for, trying to think of an example, but when that comes in, you can apply it back to that situation you were in during learning, and then validate what you think is right with an AI model, with your co-pilot, with ChatGPT, with whatever, and go, I'm thinking through this, is this correct? And then if you're wrong, it'll correct you because you've got the world's knowledge at your fingertips. So it's not like back in the day where you'd have to go to a colleague or someone else, and or the person sitting at the desk next to you in your bunker SOC with a wall of screens. It's now a quick little check of the validation of that learning, and the cycles of learning are coming faster, obviously depending on how everyone learns in their own individual ways. But that's how I pick up new skills these days. I build something, I create something, I read about it, try it. When it fails, go talk with ChatGPT, figure it through, and then apply that back into your next learnings. So a different role in the SOC world, but still fundamentally the same thing, investigating and making decisions.
And as you say, probably one of the newest and probably most important skills to have in this new world is people talking about, yes, ChatGPT is great, Claude, all of these tools are great, but learning how to prompt them is a skill in itself, because if you just ask write me a LinkedIn article, it's going to give you some rubbish. But actually knowing specifically how to design a prompt to improve the quality of the output is another skill to have. And that's where people probably need to work and develop as well.
I think yes and no. I think that's slightly going away because of the smartness, the intelligence of the model coming back and validating when you ask. So I'm finding I use deep research quite heavily with ChatGPT. I probably use it like 5 times a day. And the new release of ChatGPT, the agent as well. What I'm finding is if I give a really high-level prompt, it comes back and it asks me the pointed questions to refine it. And I'm finding day to day, I'm just managing this agent. I'm just managing deep research. I'm tweaking my original ask to shape it towards the end goal. So yes, there is a very good skill in that initial prompt, but the models and agents are getting smarter to shape its own understanding to get to the right output that it thinks that you're looking. So it is a different skill set. You're right. It's managing and asking and clarifying your real requirements right down to tweak and change to get to where you're trying to go.
Sometimes even simple nuggets. Sometimes when I don't quite get what I need, you always can end, for example, every single prompt with a question. Ask me questions to make sure. Ask me, say, 5 to 10 questions to make sure you understand my request 100%, and that sometimes can transform.
And I'm finding, deep research every time comes back. Interestingly, up until this week, it used to only ever come back with 3 questions. Now I've noticed it comes back every time with 4 questions. So it's like it's slowly shaping to be like, did you really mean this, this, and this? And we are leaning more towards it's a management role at the end of the day. It's managing agents. It's managing a task through to completion. We're not necessarily having to do every step of that task ourselves, but we're managing it along. So before long, we're all going to be project managers. Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed.
Which is a very useful skill.
Yeah, definitely. Let's look a bit about, I guess, vision into the future. How do you see sort of the role of managed security services sort of evolving over the next, I guess I don't want to look too far ahead because everything's moving so quickly, maybe next just couple of years, because we can't predict so far out.
That's a challenge. I think, a couple of years out, 6 months out, it's getting more and more, there's more and more fog there, innovation fog, because models are evolving so fast. But in the security operations world, I think we're moving away from more of the detection and response side, and maybe I'm saying this from my Ontinue view, but we're leaning more into that preventative side. We're leaning more into getting and using your existing tooling to its full advantage. Our customers and people are getting more used to AI and automation taking on that. So again, it's just back to decision making. So, can we detect these attackers earlier in the kill chain? Our technical controls and tools are doing their job, and then reacting and responding when we move away from that. But really just preventing that from happening in the first place. And I think, security operations 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year is going to go more into that exposure management side, the prevention side, and then where it's going to pick up is more the incident response side. So say we've got less false positives, less benign positives, less stuff to investigate, but what does come through are more serious incidents because of some future AI attack, or a 0 day, which isn't really the root source often, but it's more like what does come through will be more likely to be a more serious incident, I feel.
Okay, good stuff. Are you excited about any emerging technologies that are, say, around the corner? What was sort of what you would say if you had to put a bet on what you're bullish on some of the emerging technologies that are coming out?
I'm bullish on more of the agents and agency that's coming out of not agents, the browser agents that are coming out. So Comet being released, OpenAI with their one. I'm really bullish around agents that can live in a browser, because what this opens up and gives the capability of is we're not just relying on AI APIs, queries being run. We can task agents with doing things in a browser. A really basic example of that, I probably did this about 6 months ago, was tasking OpenAI's operator with investigating and doing a threat hunt in the Defender XDR portal. So not even needing Lighthouse, not running KQL queries, but just giving it the login prompt and going, right, go. And then I had ChatGPT supervise that. So when it got stuck, I went to ChatGPT to get the instructions. And again, all this done in a browser. So I'm bullish on what can be done on the browser side with more advanced agents going forward.
Brilliant.
That's
sounds interesting.
A fun world.
Sounds definitely interesting. Now, a couple of, I guess, curveballs to end our chat. Do you think there is a sort of common security practice that you believe might be obsolete within 5 years?
I don't think I can predict that far out. I don't think I can predict in 5 years. We're still doing the similar things in IT from 15, 18 years ago when I first started. We're still patching. We're still rolling out configurations. We're still, availabilities become much, much easier with scalable microservices and all that. The cloud has meant we don't have to do a lot of that. But yeah, one thing that's probably going to go away, or there'll be less reliance on, is probably just that, what we've already touched on, that initial triage and investigation of alerts.
Yeah.
I think that capability is just going to be gone. But beyond that, it's too hard to predict because of the capabilities of new models coming out and what they could do. And at the same time, it's a little bit concerning.
No, things move very fast. And I guess the last one to end, if a listener is a security leader who's coming maybe from more sort of traditional security operations background, what kind of mindset shift they should be having in terms of to advance their and modernize their security operations to a sort of new level where you guys live at sort of edge of technology?
Yeah, so I think, if you're coming from a more legacy world of legacy SIEM solutions, not so sophisticated EDR products, I think it's getting off the mindset of structured playbooks and tiered SOCs. So not everyone's going to have that tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 role anymore. where tier 1 just deals with all this noise, passes it to tier 2 to investigate. At the same time, it's with shift patterns around that. With the automation capabilities, that 24/7 element can be dealt with either by a service provider or by some of the tools that exist these days. And it's moving off the mindset of a structured tiered SOC with a shift rotor where we do a handover and go from there. It's more these days, the analysts will have their individual skills. We lean into those to amplify them with AI, and then have the coverage from a 24/7 capability of the tools and service providers that are a bit more mature. So really it's just shifting the mindset from that structured approach to that more open automation type first service.
Yeah, and I think nowadays as well, I think we used to think about, around the sun models and all of that. I think you can leverage, some great partners to achieve that way easier. You used to be, thinking about SOC, you think about how to position people around the world, what shifts and what not to do.
Yeah.
I think that sort of world is changing. But, to end that note, thank you very much for coming along, Drew. It was really great conversation. It's really interesting to see, I've been around SOCs for quite a long time, and it's interesting to see how that world is changing, how we are, advancing with technology and leveraging technology, I guess, to the best of its abilities. So thank you, Drew.
Thank you.